I've come to meet Chris Livett, a fifth-generation waterman.
You must be Chris.
Hi, yes.
Hi, gents, how are you?
How you doing?
Nice to meet
Good
you.
He's taking me on a trip to find out more.
Chris, thank you so much for the invitation to take this wonderful trip up the river. Thank you. Your family have been working the river for about 300 years.
Absolutely.
But they wouldn't have been working it with boats like this, would they? What would it have been in the day?
Well, this is the higher luxury, isn't it? Modern,
it is, isn't
two engines, power steering. Early days, my first generation, I'm a fifth generation waterman, they'd have been rowboats, they'd have been in wherries and in skiffs.
When the Great Fire of London happened, we've heard Pepys having a pint in a pub, and he watches this malicious flame engulfing the city. What would people have done? Would they have come onto the river and for sanctuary, or...?
It was the natural way to evacuate. Bear in mind there was a lot of exposed foreshore at certain states of the tide, so they would have used that to clamber down, but they would have been clambering down in the mud, in the sand, in the water. People were spewing out onto the river. There would have been danger, hazards, losing furniture, losing their goods overboard from boats. Boats would have been laden deep. It would have been a massive evacuation.
At that time, what would this be like? What would the river be like then?
Amazing. Absolute contrast to what we see today. It would have been a lot wider.
Yes.
We're coming up to London Bridge here. And London Bridge of the old had many arches. It used to block the river. It acted as a weir. So the upper side of the river, upper side of the bridge was very quiet, very still. There wasn't a huge amount of tide running. The lower side was treacherous. It would have been heavily congested. It would have been more like the M25 is today on a bad day. If it was the centrepiece of London, without the river, London wouldn't exist. It was the major highway through London. You wouldn't walk ashore. You wouldn't walk up a road. There were no highways. This river was the main artery and out, and had so much activity.
I think people forget that the scale of the Thames is enormous, isn't it?
It's amazing. It's we have two tides every 24 hours. The tide comes up 7 metres, 7.2 metres twice a day. Think of that volume of water. We're in a narrow channel. It's running at 4 or 5 knots as we sit here today. If you fell overboard now and you tried to swim over to Southwark, you'd end up in London Bridge.